We are told from the moment we first pick up a brush, a pen, a guitar, that we are special, that we have a gift. But what they do not tell us, what they refuse to admit, is that this gift is a curse. To create is to suffer. To seek meaning is to invite madness. And what do I mean by all this mess, man? When you are trying to pursue a career in the creative arts, and this could be a musician, this could be an artist, this could be a writer, all of these things, man. And I would say, it is a life to some degree of suffering. It's not going to be easy. It is a difficult life. There are some who get lucky. There are some that hit the lottery. And if you're in Nashville, we used to call it the redneck lottery, right? Coming to town and getting a gig with some artist, and the artist blows up and boom, and is a loyal person. There's not a lot of loyalty in the music business. And if you happen to get on a gig with somebody who is loyal, who does believe in doing the right thing, who does believe in keeping his team intact, and that is a rare situation. And, you might have a good run. What is a good run? A good run would be getting a gig like that and having a 5-year run or a 10-year run, or maybe even a 20-year run. And it's yet to be seen with some of the people that I know that got very lucky, got on gigs where they have, just keep riding that upward steady trajectory, right? But for most of us, that might not happen. For most, that does not happen. For most, you will be grinding it out night after night. There will be nights where the pay will be very low. There will be times when your significant other, especially if they're not in the business, and maybe sometimes even more so if they are, where you will lose relationships. You will go through the heartbreak of someone realizing, hey, I can't do this. You're not home at night. You go out on the road for weeks at a time. I'm left at home by myself. I just can't live this lifestyle anymore. Maybe like the old Elvis song, that's when your heartaches begin. I can remember, being, a musician and scraping by. Look, man, we live in a society that is very much money driven. People are even more, I would say, than even when I was coming up. People now, in the year 2025, people are even more driven by money. And, unfortunately, relationships, it can be very much money driven. Sure, if you're a decent looking guy and you're up on stage and you've got talent, women may flock to you, but they may be just thinking of you as a fling or a toy, or not taking you seriously. Women might date you, but not take you seriously. You might fall in love with somebody like that. They have other plans. They don't have any intention of marrying you or settling down with you. Their goal is to just have some fun for a little while and go to your gigs and whatnot, and that might be it. There could be times where you are broken, exhausted, pushing yourself to the brink, and not getting compensated for it. Or even if you are, the system now, here's the thing, man. When I was coming up in Nashville, rent was very cheap, man. You could get something for $350 a month. Yeah, granted, it wasn't in a great neighborhood or whatever, but that was affordable, right? You could get a handful of gigs each month and pay your rent. But man, now the average rent, I think I posted on another video, is like $16.75 a month. So man, you do the math of what that takes. They say that you need to be able to make your rent in 1 week in order for you to be, in a good financial position. So let's do the math. If you need to make $16.75 a week, and your average gig pays $300, let's say you're averaging, and that's a high average. You're not going to make $300 a night in the off season in Nashville. That's just not going to be a reality. Now you could have nights where you might make $400 or $500 a night. You could have nights where maybe you have a very lucky night and you make $1,000 that night. But let's say on the average you make 300 average for the year, right? So 300 by 5, and that's 1,500, I guess. I guess it's doable to a certain degree. And yes, now Ace has joined the fray. He won't let anybody sleep. He's doing Ace things. Man, that's a grind, dude. If you're a singer trying to sing 4 sets a night, what happens if your voice goes out? What happens if your gig fails? Here's the thing, man. You're in a very volatile place playing in bars. All it takes is for one patron to start some kind of nonsense with you and complain about you and maybe didn't like the way you did something on stage or whatever. Look, I'll tell you a story. I had one time, I was always good at talking on the mic, right? And I was playing, at the time, there was a Irish pub. It was right near Music Row. And I was playing with, a bunch of local guys, one guy that ran a studio and all these, stalwart kind of Nashville people, right? And we had this good gig, man. It was playing like Friday night off of Music Row right there, packed crowd every night and all that. And, I was doing some of my shtick, on the microphone, and it was all like Vandy kids in this club, right? So I was saying, hey, yeah, I know you guys have been partying before you got down here, because, it can be expensive to go out to drink. Well, a female bartender somehow skewed what I said about you guys probably had a few drinks before you came out, because I know it can be expensive to drink. And she skewed that and said that I was disparaging the bar, and basically made it so the band leader had to fire me. I was fired from the band. And man, it was the most ridiculous thing in the world. And my thing to this guy was, this band leader, as I said, man, you going to let a bartender decide who's in your band? Because once you do that, it's never going to end. And they did the same thing to another musician, another fellow musician in the band. They decided they didn't like that particular musician. He was too old, or he was this, or he's that. And so then he was canned because, some whim of somebody, in this bar. So that gig didn't last long. It didn't last long for me. I was let go. And, it didn't last long for the next guy. And, soon enough, he lost a couple key elements of the band. One was me and one was the other guy. And so the gig didn't last long after that. I mean, it's like, there goes my, Friday night, which is big big money night at the time. I think we maybe made $125 each or 150 each. But again, that was a time when rent was, I don't know, for me at that time, it was probably $480 a month, something like that. But that gig it ended just like that. Here I was playing a packed club on a Friday night. Everything's great. It's all filled with young people, even though we were mostly probably in our 30s. And some bartender just had a bug up her, what, about me, and decided she wanted me out of there. And man, I never had any interaction with this person. I'm always somebody that was kind to the bartenders, always tipped when I would go get a beer. A lot of musicians don't do that. And this is here's a lesson for all you musicians out there, man. Always take care of your bartenders and waitresses. And of course, we're known for making those announcements on stage. But that is very true, man, because you know what? They can get you booted out. But here's the thing. It didn't help me at all in this situation. And, you want people on your side. You want to be, amiable. You want to do a good job, but it's a volatile situation. And all it takes is one interaction with a drunk or something, and things can blow up. Or maybe you've got a band leader that is keeping some of the money, and you ask about, hey, why didn't we get any tip money? And boom, you're popped out of the band. It's a very volatile work situation. And I'll tell this to people, all gigs end. I know bands, and I've played in bands where we packed the house. Every time we played, we sold tons of beer. We sold tons of booze. Always have a packed crowd. One day the owner just decides, I don't really like this crowd, or I don't like these people coming in, or I want this to be a rock and roll bar. I want it to be a rock and roll bar, or I want it to be a country bar, or whatever. And you're tossed out. Even though you're bringing in all this money, they could like self-sabotage the whole situation and blow up your night, blow up your one day out of the week. And look, man, if you do the math, 5 times 3 is 15. You need 16 something to make the rent. But one of your nights just got taken out from under you, or maybe you get canned from a band that you're playing with, or their main guy was on the road and now he's back from the road, and they're gonna bring him back in. You've just lost everything off your calendar. You've just lost your girlfriend because she says you don't make enough money and I can't take you serious. You're just you're not a serious person. My family doesn't think you're ambitious enough. Man, you're going to suffer for your art. Nobody's going to tell you these things. Nobody's going to tell you how hard it is. Maybe this channel is the only place where that happens. And I think it needs to be said because, man, I can think of a lot of nights, man, where tears were shed and, I suffered for my art. And, man, there were times when I wished I'd never picked up a guitar. There were times when I felt like it was a curse that I had been giving. This gift that I had was a curse, and that, I couldn't put it down. I couldn't put the instrument down, but I just felt like it's like bringing me all this misery. And look, man, trying to chase money, trying to chase success, seeing people less talented, blow up and show up, driving in, new sports cars and all this, and you're still in the clubs beating it up. Man, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Some people get lucky in life and some don't. And that's another hard reality that you're going to face in this business. And man, all I can say to anyone who is young, may be watching this video and may, want to take a stab at it and see what happens. Man, the best thing I can do is wish you luck. I can't tell you that if you, learn all your modes and scales, that you're going to be successful. I can't tell you that if you've got great talent, that you're going to be successful. I can't tell you that if you know a ton of tunes, that you're going to get a gig. I can't tell you that if you've got an amazing voice and you look great, that you're going to have an easy time. I know plenty of people who I thought, man, this person has the complete package. They're everything you think it would take to blow up and become a huge star. And it just never happens for them. It never happens for them. And I can only imagine the heartbreak of that, man. You could be extremely popular. You could have, women coming at you every night. And at some point, you're going to realize that doesn't make you happy either. And maybe once you make it, and once you get out on the road and you realize that, hey, it's the same grind, just at a different level. And now I've got this mansion, and now I've got this sports car, and now I've got this trophy wife. But guess what? I still got to grind it out. And now maybe it's even harder because I'm not sleeping in my own bed. I'm out on a tour bus, riding around with 4 or 5 guys, playing these gigs. And it's dependent on me delivering a performance every night. And whether you're Elvis Presley or Kurt Cobain or Jimi Hendrix or whatever, either way, you're still on the gerbil wheel. And yeah, you might be making thousands of dollars a night, but it's not easy going out there and having to do it, having to recreate as you get older, having to recreate your youth, and people criticizing you, people, complaining about your performance when you falter, when you're sick, when you don't feel well. It can be a very tough thing being under the microscope. That is when sometimes you feel the gift is really a curse.